from HealthNutNation.com, and today I'm going to share with you an incredibly delicious recipe for pepper encrusted roast beef that is simple enough for any weeknight, yet special enough for any holiday occasion. Let's get started. We have 3 simple ingredients for our recipe today: kosher salt, cracked black pepper, and a nice cut of chuck shoulder roast or anything suitable for pot roast because it's going to go in the crock pot. Now let's just take a moment to talk about the meat that we buy, because I have a lot of questions from clients and people online about buying organic fruits and vegetables, and people invest a lot of money into buying organic fruits and vegetables, and that's fine, that's important, but where it really matters is the meat that we buy. And that's because the fat within that meat is where all of the toxins are stored. So whether it's antibiotics or hormones or feed, all of that is stored within the fat. And we want to be able to eat the fat. We want the fat to feed and nourish our bodies along with the protein from the meat. So we want to make sure to buy pasture-raised beef, and also, grass-fed is great. Know your farmer, know your source. That's what's most important, okay? So just invest in a good piece of meat. So first, we're gonna pat our piece of meat dry with a paper towel. And then I have mixed salt, kosher salt, and cracked black pepper in here. Now we're going to sprinkle this all over the meat, and we're going to be really generous with this. Now the one thing about kosher salt that is really great is that it's really hard to overdo it. You're not going to, if you use table salt for this, you're going to have a piece of meat that is way too salty. But when you use kosher salt, it is not too salty. Okay, now I'm not only going to sprinkle this on, I'm going to take my hands and I'm going to really press it into the meat. I want that meat to just hold on to it, really get it in there. Okay, and then I'm going to turn it over and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay, so that's all I've done. I've simply put kosher salt and black pepper and rubbed it into the surface, and now I'm going to put it in my nice hot cast iron pan. I don't even need any oil. I just want to sear it. So today I'm using an induction oven, which it actually uses a magnetic field to cook, and you have to have a pan that's magnetic, and so cast iron is one of those types of pans, and I actually prefer to cook meat on a cast iron pan. I can't really give you a great reason why. It just turns out the most beautiful, delicious meat ever. Okay, this is about ready to turn. Now we want to sear each and every side of this meat, and you can see I'm doing a dry sear, and you can put oil in it if you want. I find this is a pretty fatty cut of meat generally, and it doesn't really need it. Now I'm going to turn it to each and every side and sear it. Got to keep those juices in. This is a cut of meat that you need to cook very slow and low for it to be tender. If I were just to sear this and cut it up, you know, put it in the oven for an hour, it is tough as nails. But it turns all the fat in it, turns into this buttery, rich, delicious meat that just practically melts in your mouth. Okay, you can see that I have a lovely sear on this meat, and now all I'm going to do is simply transfer it into my crock pot. Okay, so now I'm going to keep my pan at a high heat, and I'm going to simply deglaze it because I want to get all those juices and delicious little bits and pieces. So I'm going to pour just a little bit of water. It's going to splatter because there's some oil in there. Not a lot. I do not need a lot. I'm going to deglaze that pan. It's going to send up a lot of steam everywhere. Get all those little last bits and pieces off of there. Okay, that's it. It's also a great way to clean your cast iron. You don't have to do anything after this. Now I'm going to pour that in my crock pot with the meat. This is where the hard part comes in. You got to put the lid on, turn it to low, and walk away for a good 6 to 8 hours. You cannot overcook this meat. It's 8 hours later. I haven't even looked at this. I've been working all day. and the house smells divine. You know this is done when it just falls apart. And it's just so buttery. All that fat has just melted and infused and made it so tender and rich. And now for the piece de resistance, the taste test. A little bit of meat, a little au jus. Fabulous, buttery, soft, rich. It does not get any better than this. I will put a ribeye up against this any day of the week. This is fabulous. You've got to try this. It's so simple, so fail-proof. You are going to love this. To your health.